Have you ever just felt like your calendar is, well, working against you? Like you're in a constant race through a year that feels totally disjointed and unnatural? Well, today, we're going to explore a completely different way of looking at time. It's a system called TEMPUSNUO, based on the work of its creator, G. Jaeger. And let me tell you, it's a fundamental challenge to everything you know about the clock on your wall and the calendar on your phone. The author kicks everything off with this question, and it really hits home, doesn't it? I mean, think about your own year. Does it feel like this clean, orderly path, or is it more like a chaotic jumble of random, uneven months and days that just sort of happen to you? It leaves you feeling completely out of sync. It's a feeling a lot of us can probably relate to, and it's the jumping off point for this entire idea. All right, so first things first. Let's really dig into the problem. We're going to break down the core arguments against the calendar we all use, the Gregorian calendar. This thing is like an invisible architecture that shapes our lives, our jobs, and maybe even how we feel. Okay, so check this out. It's one of those things that's so obvious once you see it, you can't unsee it. The author calls it numerical negligence. September, October, November, December. Their names literally mean the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th months. But for us, they're the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. It's just wrong. It's a basic mismatch we've all just learned to completely ignore, a little daily reminder of a broken system. And this inconsistency is absolutely everywhere you look. We've got months with all these different lengths for no real reason, which makes planning anything a total headache. We have to jam in a leap day every 4 years just to keep the whole thing from floating away from the seasons. And some places even change the actual hour twice a year, totally messing with our internal clocks. The author argues this isn't a system of order at all. It's what they call a monument to disorder that we've just come to accept as normal. So this leads to a pretty provocative question from the source material. Is all this chaos just some big historical accident? A bunch of clumsy edits made over hundreds of years? Or is it something more intentional? A deliberate disturbance designed to keep us, well, off balance? And that idea, the idea of a deliberate disturbance, it builds into a much, much bigger story. We're now diving into the source's claims about a hidden and intentionally manipulated history of our timeline. This is a version of events you definitely did not learn in history class. You see, according to the author, people have tried to fix this over and over again. There have been all these attempts to create more rational, more harmonious calendars. The French tried one after their revolution. The founder of Kodak, George Eastman, actually backed a 13-month calendar. The UN even debated one, and yet every single one of them failed. They all hit what the source calls an invisible yet powerful resistance. And this resistance, the author claims, goes way, way back. To introduce our current Gregorian system, 10 entire days were literally erased from history. Just think about that for a second. You go to sleep on October 4th, and you wake up and it's October 15th. 10 days of human life just vanished from the official record to install this new system we still use today. Now, here is a key piece of evidence the author presents. In really old documents and carved into ancient stones, you'll often see years written just like this, the letter I followed by the year. It's a common historical notation you might see in a museum or an old book. Now, the accepted historical explanation, the one you'll find in all the textbooks, is that the I stands for Isos, which is just Latin for Jesus. So I-582 simply means the 582nd year of our Lord. That is the mainstream understanding. But the author poses a really critical question here. What if that wasn't just a symbol? What if it was something that was intentionally altered over time? What if the meaning was twisted to hide a much deeper truth about our own timeline? This slide shows you exactly what they mean. The theory goes that the I, which represented a person and identity, was systematically reinterpreted and then replaced by the numeral 1. A very subtle change in how we write things, right? But it's a change with a massive, massive implication. Because, according to this theory, in one single stroke, 1,000 fancier years were just inserted into our timeline. The year 582 suddenly became 1582. This isn't just some historical fun fact. The author is suggesting it was a deliberate act of temporal manipulation. And the real question is, what truth was so important that it needed to be buried behind an entire 1,000-year wall of invented time? And the author suggests that the key to unlocking that hidden truth lies in something we see every single day but have been taught to fear, the number 13. This brings us to another central piece of the argument, this strange and persistent campaign to demonize what might actually be a sacred number. I mean, we all know this stuff, the superstitions around Friday the 13th, high-rise buildings that literally jump from floor 12 to 14, airplanes that don't have a row 13. It's this deep-seated anxiety in our culture. The author argues this isn't just some random superstition. It's a form of intentional cultural programming designed to make us reject a number that has profound natural importance.
Because when you actually look at nature, 13 is a number of complete harmony. There are 13 full moons in a solar year, a rhythm that ancient cultures all over the world lived by. The Mayans, the Celts, they used 13-month calendars. There's even a forgotten 13th sign of the zodiac, Ophiuchus. And the author points out that the Last Supper had 13 people at the table and asks, what if 13 wasn't the number of the traitor, but the number of the Christ figure himself? And that story was deliberately flipped on its head.
So it all comes down to this comparison, which you can see crystal clear in this table. On one side, you have our chaotic Gregorian system, 12 unequal months, 365 days, plus a clunky leap day. And on the other, you have a perfectly balanced natural system, 13 months of exactly 28 days each. That adds up to 364 days. It's a system of beautiful, predictable symmetry. It's not even a contest. Which finally brings us to the proposed solution. After laying out the problem and its alleged hidden history, the author introduces a calendar designed to reclaim that lost natural harmony, and it's called TEMPUSNUO. And here it is, 13 perfect months, each with 4 perfect weeks of 7 days. Just imagine for a second a calendar where every single month starts on the same day, where your birthday, your anniversary, major holidays, they always fall on the same day of the week, year after year after year. It's just clean, it's orderly, and it's based on that natural cycle of 13. And in this system, the days of the week are also completely reimagined. They're no longer named after Norse gods or Roman emperors. Instead, their names, Sorel, Zener, Miku, they represent the actual phases in a universal process, an energy cycle that goes from the beginning of an action through its peak performance and all the way into a deep, restorative pause. The 13 months follow that same kind of logic. Their names, like Veris and Hellel, are designed to reflect the organic movement of the seasons and the flow of light throughout the year. It's a journey from the very beginning of growth through expansion and harvest and into a final compensatory pause before the whole cycle starts all over again. So as you can see, this is about way more than just rearranging days on a page. The author presents this as a tool for healing, a way for us to reconnect with what they call the primordial source, those natural, underlying rhythms of the universe that our current calendar may have completely severed us from. The purpose here is really profound. It's an invitation to step out of a system that the author believes is designed for control and exhaustion, and instead step into a flow of time that feels sacred, cyclical, and totally liberating. A world where time serves you, not the other way around. And that's really the final thought the author leaves us with. This deep-seated rejection we have of the number 13, of a natural lunar cycle, what if that rejection is the very thing holding us back? What if reclaiming it is the key to reclaiming a more balanced, more harmonious existence? It's a fascinating and provocative idea to think about, for sure.